Have you ever spent hours studying something and when you think you finally got the hang of it, someone asks you to recite that same thing, but you just can't do it because your mind goes blank? That feeling, the comfort of knowing something, it can be very deceiving, but there's a name for it, and it's called the illusion of competence. The sneaky bias that makes you feel like you'll learn something just because it's familiar. Today, we'll unpack what it really means, why it happens, and most importantly, how you can escape it. Welcome to a series where we try to get you 1% smarter with every video. Let's go. So here's what's really going on. When you read something or watch something over and over, your brain begins to recognize patterns. You might think, oh yeah, I've seen this before, but recognizing something doesn't mean you understand it. When you open your notes and things look familiar, your brain says, cool, I've seen this, must be mastered. But what you're often doing is recognizing shapes and wording, not reconstructing the idea from scratch. Psychologists call this frequency bias. When something is easy to process because it feels familiar, we assume we know it. For instance, when you read a sentence very easily, we think, yeah, I got this. But that doesn't mean you understand it. Ease of reading does not equal depth of understanding. So reading your notes, you feel confident because the words feel familiar. You're comfortable. But that comfort is exactly what misguides you. Let's peek into actual research to make this more concrete. One key paper by Asha Couriet and Robert Bjork showed that students often overestimate their future performance during study sessions because they're making judgments of learning under conditions that differ from test conditions. Another study on cognitive fluency found when processing is fluent, i.e. easy, people tend to judge that they know something more, even if they don't. In plain terms, familiarity equals ease triggers confidence, and confidence gets mistaken for mastery. That's the illusion of competence. So now you're wondering, why does this even happen? The short answer is your brain is built for efficiency. It wants to save energy. Recognizing something as familiar takes way less cognitive energy than generating something new. So when you glance at your notes and recall, yup, I've seen this before, your brain gives you a reward signal. Nice job, we don't have to work hard. But that signal is about recognition, not retrieval. Recognizing a concept is not the same as reproducing it unassisted. In deep evolutionary terms, familiarity meant safe. If you've seen something many times, maybe it doesn't require full vigilance. But in a learning context, especially where a test asks you to produce an answer, familiarity creates a false sense of mastery. Real learning is often uncomfortable. It's the moments when your brain hesitates, when you struggle, when you say, wait, what exactly does that mean? That struggle means your brain is building new connections. Let's walk through some examples that may hit home. Example 1. You watched a 5-minute tutorial on how to use a software tool. You nod along. Yeah, got it. The tutorial ends, but later you open the tool yourself and nothing makes sense. Why? Because you watched and recognized steps. You didn't do them on your own. Example 2. You read through your lecture notes 3 times a night before an exam. They look familiar. You feel confident. But when the test comes, you're stuck on questions because you didn't practice recalling the info. You simply recognized it in your notes. Example 3. From real academic research, a study of grade predictions found that students' expected exam scores were often negatively correlated with actual scores. Those who were most confident, based on familiarity, did worse. Are you noticing a trend? In each case, exposure does not equal expertise. Familiarity breeds confidence, not necessarily competence. Okay, so the most important part of all of this, how do we actually fight this illusion of competence? Here are 4 methods backed by research and practical applications. 1. Retrieval practice. After you read something, close your notes and try to explain it from memory. If you can't reconstruct it, you don't know it. Research and learning shows memory is built by retrieval, not just rereading. 2. Use the Feynman technique. Explain something to someone like they're a 10-year-old. If you hit a point where you struggle to simplify, that's a cue for you to go and relearn it. 3. Spaced practice. Rather than cramming everything in and learning it in one sitting, delay that retention of information. The additional difficulty of learning something after a gap strengthens your learning. And finally, 4, interleaving. Mix up the topics that you're learning about instead of just learning about one particular topic. Jump between related ideas. The variation forces your brain to retrieve different patterns rather than rely on the familiarity. So that's 4 ways you can beat the illusion of competence. But here's a twist. The harder something feels within reason, the more your brain is actually working. This concept is often called desirable difficulty. When you struggle, you're engaging your cognitive systems more deeply. You're forming stronger memory traces, better connections, and you're less reliant on comfort or recognition. Contrast that with effortless rereading. It feels smart, but 90% of the time, you're going to forget what you just read. So next time you feel frustrated while studying, good. That frustration might be your growth signal. And when it feels too easy, be suspicious. Ease equals comfort, not necessarily learning. So to wrap this up, the next time you're rereading your notes, watching tutorials, or simply skimming over familiar material, remember, familiarity is not knowledge. It's your brain going, I've seen this before, but seen it does not equal owned it. Real competence is built by retrieval, the struggle, the challenging of your brain. So stop highlighting like a maniac. Close your notes and ask yourself, can I explain this from scratch? If you can't, you're falling for the illusion of competence. So give this video a like if this has made you at least 1% smarter today, and subscribe for more cool tips and information like this in the future. Until next time, peace.